Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello, everybody. Today, first of all, Ramadan Kareem for those who are Muslim. For those who are not, basically, if you don't know what Ramadan is, it's a holy month for Muslims. And today we got, for the whole month, we're going to have some special content, a lot of fun stuff. Oh, any back. Nah. And basically, it's going to be book reading. Two books we're going to read. First book is My Great Love for Jesus Led Me to Islam. The book read by, written by a Christian who loved Jesus so much that he became a Muslim. I don't know the exact, the specifics of it, but that's that. الله كريم الله مبارك. هلا سنوش السلام عليكم. رمضان كل عام وانتم بخير. القديم الفايزين القويين. So we'll spend like around an hour or 2 hours, it depends, reading this book. Hashmak. And we're also going to read Al-Rahiq Al-Makhtoum, which is Alaykum Assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Ramadan Kareem, which is a book about the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu and his stories. So these two books we're going to read this Ramadan, inshallah, inshallah, inshallah. And we hopefully will have a great time reading. Again, if you're here for gaming and stuff, that would take a little bit longer. So I guess we could zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. Oh boy, it's gonna be fun. Be reading. Yippee! I love reading. Yippee! الله كريم. أنتم بخير روبي، أهلا وسهلا. الله يسعد الجميع. يقبل منكم دعواتكم وقيامكم صالح أعمالكم. I've never read this book before, so it's gonna be okay. مين هنا ما يعرف يتكلم انجليزي؟ مين هنا اترجم له عربي؟ Who here needs me to translate for the Arabs that don't speak English? Because this is mostly an English book. أنا مين يتطوع يترجم لي الإيران؟ I'll try my best. أنا مسكين ما يعرف English. مسكين ما يعرف English. I just realized the YouTube people didn't get any and read any of their messages. It's okay. YouTube is dead as usual. Such an interesting title. How many parts would it take? I don't know. It is 160 pages. So maybe we don't finish it this Ramadan. Joy. Maybe it's another Ramadan. Who knows? But let's start. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا صعب إذا شئت سهلا يا معلم آدم يعلمنا يا مفهم سليمان فهمنا بسم الله توكلت على الله ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. Introduction. So this is a story of a Catholic, right? واحد مسيحي. As a Catholic, I was led to believe that Catholicism was the only true religion. كان يعلمون هو ما في إلا دين واحد اللي هو إنك تكون مسيحي. And that Judaism was only a preparation for Christianity. Hence, the other religions were all false. In fact, I only heard about Islam for the first time in 1978. All right, interesting. I had learned that Muslims believed in the divine origin of Christianity and Judaism. The Quran indicates that Allah, the proper name of God in the Arabic language, yes, God, Allah, same meaning, but that's how you say God in Arabic. You say Allah. Had sent prophets to every land. Yep. And then this is the same word speaking Arabic speaking Christians. Oh yeah, look, that's an interesting little thing in the footnote. Apparently, Arabic-speaking Christians and Jews call God Allah. I never knew, but it makes sense, right? Because it's just انا بترجم بيقولوا انك حتى المسيحي وحتى اليهودي بي بينادي ربه الله، ما يقول God، يقول الله. هي كلمة عربية. Unique word grammatically does not have a plural form or gender. Oh, that's true. كل الكلمات every Arabic word either is feminine or it's very heavily like gendered language. So it's unique that the word Allah or God doesn't have a gender, and also it doesn't have a plural form. You can't say, well, gods in English you can say, but you can't say Allah, multiple Allahs. That doesn't make sense, right? فما شاء الله تبارك الله. كلمة الله لا هي تكون أنثوية ولا ذكرية، وفي نفس الوقت ما نقدر نخليها ايش الكلمة اللي بدور عليها؟ plural. How do I say plural؟ جمع. ما ينفع لأنه ما في إلا ربنا إله واحد. which is consistent with Islamic commands Jehovah, even though did not. There's a lot of stuff here. But if anybody wants to read, you can pause to read all of this. That's a lot. All right. So that's where we stopped. God/Allah has sent prophets to every land in order to guide people to the path of truth and righteousness. What us Muslims believe. Hello, Amir. Welcome in. Amir or Amir. In order to carve the Christian message into the depth of my subconscious, the Catholic Church designed a program which, when applied from childhood, had a very high probability of retention. Okay, يعني كانوا يعلموه من صغره كأنه غسيل دماغ، انه يلا يصير احسن مسيحي، بس المسيح ما في غير. This program affected people's beliefs and their behavior for the rest of their lives. In this scheme, the central figure is Jesus, and the rites are mostly related to events surrounding his birth, supposed death, and resurrection. See how he says supposed death? The reason why the author says supposed death is because I assume he's Muslim now, and Muslims do not believe that Jesus died. He is still alive. He has just been he has ascended. Allah or God has ascended him to heaven till the time comes, the later times. And resurrection, from his birth, assumed to be in December, to his alleged, again assumed to be in December. That's good. Like, so the reason why someone is like hurting you in a physical way, can you fight back? Yes, you can fight back. The reason why, again, the author is being like assumed to be in December is because for Muslims, history to a certain point is reliable. After that certain point, history stops being reliable. So we take every kind of historical quote unquote fact with a grain of salt. المسلمين عندهم إلى فترة معينة من الوقت اللي هي إلى عدنان. شوف بعدين يقول الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم كذب المؤرخون. يعني في فترة معينة خلاص there is proof في دليل على كل الحقائق التاريخية. بعدين في خلاص الحين صار في إسرائيليات، في أشياء يعني نحن ما نكذبها. We don't say this didn't happen, but we also don't say this happened for sure. So that's why he said assumed to be in December. We don't know if Jesus was born in December, if he wasn't born in December, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what month he was born in. As Muslims, we don't care. His birth month does not affect his message as a prophet. His alleged crucifixion, because Muslims do not believe he got crucified. It was a body double, and people, Christians believe that it was Jesus, but Muslims believe it was a body double that Allah has brought. On Easter, these religious rites were introduced by human beings many centuries after Jesus' departure, rather by divine revelation. That's what Islam says. Isa is not likely to have been born in December because Allah had to shake ripe dates when giving birth, which Palestine doesn't happen in December. Wallahu exactly. So there's a lot of speculations, a lot of these things, and in the end, it does not matter. في النهاية سواء اتولد اليوم or اتولد في July or اتولد في ما يفرق. His his message is the same. He keeps on getting me in trouble, and he's saying I hurt him because I did. Started relating, he just not give me over. Do you have any advice what to do? You talk to authorities. You talk to teachers. You take a video of him lying about it and send the video to your principal and be like, "Look, he's lying. He keeps laughing about it. Show that he's laughing and show the video to people. They don't care. You go to the police then. If they don't care, I can't make them care." According to tradition in Venezuela, at midnight on December 24th, I used to wait for the arrival of Jesus to bring the gifts that I had requested in my early wish list. Wow, that's a thing? Wasn't that like Santa Claus? Being from a poor family, having several brothers and sisters, I understood that it was very difficult for the child Jesus. The what now? Child Jesus? Bring me what I had asked for, but I was often confused and puzzled um, because if Jesus had performed so many miracles, as I had learned from nuns and priests, why was he not able to bring me a tricycle? Wasn't that request easier for him than bringing dead people? True. Back to life. Thus, for several years, the concept of the child Jesus left me disappointed. As Easter was approaching, I used to watch televised stories of how Jesus was abused until he was allegedly put on a cross to be crucified. I really wanted to climb inside the TV set and help him somehow. I asked God to help him and not let his son, in quotation, again, because we as Muslims do not believe that Jesus is God's son or is God at all. He's a prophet. To be crucified. In the end, I would hide and cry because I was taught that men do not cry. That's crazy. That is not something that is in any religion. I didn't know. Is there religions that teach that? I read somewhere that the whole part of Isa's birth salam was in December, and he was supposed to be closed and resurrection has been copied. I don't know when the religion started adapting. Probably. Again, as the book was saying, a lot of these rites and a lot of these celebrations has happened way later. Hi, Kimberly. They happened way, way, way later after Jesus has, has left, not died, like has ended. So, uh, credibility is down. I could not understand why such brutality was inflicted on such a good man. As a child, this incident cultivated in me an intense love for this great prophet of God. As for other children, perhaps the toys they received on Christmas as an answer to their wishes was the cause of their affection toward Jesus. That's interesting. That's interesting. So he loved Jesus, understanding that this is a man who went through so much hardship and did so much and yet received pain and opposition. Yet what I guess the Catholic teaching that he was getting from other and the other children were getting was to make them love Jesus because he gifts them gifts. So it's like an artificially created love rather than okay, I understand why I love uh this prophet. If the objective of the church was to somehow infuse the feeling of reverence, oh, yep, he talked about it. I should just stop talking and read. Of a reverence for Jesus. In my case, they were successful, right? But in his case, they were successful in the right way, which is to actually love Jesus, right? Not to deceive kids and tell and buy them something from Walmart and be like, "Oh, Jesus got this for you." Yeah, that's fake. Um, I learned to love Jesus more than my own parents. However, while still a child, I started to question the power of God. I forgot about my beard. 1 second. have the beard on. Um. So to question the power of God, the concept that I had about God was that he could human can cry. Yes, human, all of humans. If God created us and let us be able to cry and gave us feelings, he wouldn't be telling us to not cry, right? Unless there's some times where crying is bad for you. For example, in Islam, you don't cry at a grave. Don't do that. Especially for women, it's bad. Not cry. Sorry, it's bad to like really ugly cry and scream and start slapping your cheeks and that type of destructive behavior. That's prohibited. Weeping, yeah, that's the word. Weeping, right? That's bad. But you're allowed to cry. عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته وأنت بخير وصحة وسلام الله يتقبل منكم رمضان كريم. رمضان كريم بدعة. I never thought of that. Should I say Ramadan Kareem? I guess I guess I guess it's not a huh. I don't know. Heard it was bid'ah. Yeah, I think you shouldn't say it now that I think about it. What about Ramadan Mubarak? Is that the same thing? I guess Ramadan is already Mubarak, right? So I should be saying Ramadan Mubarak? Ugh, I don't get it. Um Such a question of the power of God. Concept that I had about God was that he could do whatever he wants. He had created the universe, the earth, the sun, the moon, the stars, and the human beings. I wondered why he could not save Jesus from dying on the cross. In order to resolve this dilemma, I climbed, on one occasion, a small wall in the backyard of my house and challenged God. Okay. Make absolute statements. Uh, or so it seemed to me, saying, if you really are so powerful and can do whatever you like, then make me fly when I jump from this wall. Oof. Oof. I was a gutsy child. When I jump from this wall. Otherwise, I will not believe that you are so powerful, because you could not save Jesus from the cross either. Fortunately, the wall was not so high, and I fell to the ground. With every attempt to fly, I became more and more convinced that God was not so powerful after all. A childish analysis indeed. I love how he adds that instead of making it seem like he may he because some atheists will say, "Gotcha, haha! God did not save me, haha! You have been gotcha." But he is reiterating and saying again. Obviously, this is something a child would think of. When I started high school, my parents allowed me to work with a photographer, a man whom I accompanied to many places. It turned out that he was also a very famous fortune teller. Wherever we went, many of his female clients moved. Many of his female many of his girls asked him about events that would happen in their future. For this task, he used to smoke brown tobacco. What happened to the crystal ball? Right, I thought this was an old book. Oh, this is very contemporary, by the way. Um, the other book we're gonna read is very old. The one old book, one new book, and this is and as it was being consumed, the ashes fell. He would reveal information to his client. I see. I also learned that he used to hypnotize people in order to learn hidden things about their lives and would respond to their queries. All of these experiences were stored in my subconscious in a very early age. During this period, my parents were attending a center that specialized in parapsychology. I don't know what that is. Parapsychology, not regular psychology. A field. Oh well, he's gonna explain. A field of study concerned with the investigation of paranormal and psychic phenomena. I accompanied them several times to see what was happening, and it was in this center that I learned about the concepts of meditation, spirits, possession, and what I thought was dead people speaking to the living. Here I learned to pray twice daily at a small altar that my father had built with great care and dedication. One of the gatherings I attended, the leader of the session prepared a talisman for me. Catholics use talismans? I thought this was like a Buddhist thing for me, which he said would protect me. I took it with me whenever I went. Meanwhile, I continued to think about the alleged crucifixion of Jesus. At the time, my father had a book that he read frequently. It was entitled The Life of Jesus, dictated by the Lord Himself. Interesting. I feel like I've seen that type of title before. I love that the father and the son both are authors. He once told me that according to his book, Jesus had traveled to places away from Jerusalem, Quds, which made me a little optimistic about finding an answer to my question regarding his crucifixion. Here's a little footnote: the dead do not actually talk to the living. In fact, the devils imitate the voices of the dead to communicate through the living. By the devil, they mean the jinn. I think it's noteworthy that praying to Allah and reciting the Quran. Oh no, they mean shaitan here. So this because Muhammad are very effective at exorcising evil spirits. By Allah's leave, the fact that any Muslim can do this provides clear evidence as to the miraculous nature of the Quran. What happens? Those who claim they can exorcise demons by reading out words from the Bible or any other book, or by calling upon other than Allah, even if those who call upon are some of God's prophets, such as Muhammad sallallahu or Jesus alayhi salam, peace be upon them. Yes, peace be upon them. Is that this is no more than an argument for those evil spirits are seeking assistance. So, as an explanation, this is an interesting topic to speak about. Basically, evil spirits or jinn do exist in the world, and what happens is that you would it's such a long conversation to have though. Actually, no, nobody's probably interested, so let's just move on. Keep reading. But yeah, what the book is saying is that sometimes the you would get help from these magicians who will get rid of this evil spirit inside of you. But what they do is that they get assistance from another evil spirit to get rid of it. Not that they're using God's words, which is the Quran, to properly get rid of them, as Muslims can do. I said can't do and not do because a lot of Muslims don't do it. When I graduated from high school, I was awarded a scholarship to study engineering in the USA. He just like me, which I happily accepted. However, before traveling in 1977, I had a bad experience that negatively affected my belief in Christianity. I saw two Christian men helping another man who was undergoing an epileptic seizure on the street. After that, they searched his wallet. Whoa! Why would you do that? Well, and stole some of his money. It is true that individual acts cannot be considered a criterion whereby to determine whether or not a religion is true. Exactly. And yet people look at terrorists and be like, "Oh my God, Islam, Muslims, all Muslims are terrorists. Haven't you seen 9/11?" Yeah. So if people do something, the whole okay, have we not seen what happens in? I can't say it, so I don't get booted off the internet. But have we not seen the atrocities that is being committed in the genocide by other religions? And these men do not truly represent. And I love the way this book is written. It's clearly written by a Muslim, and yet even when he's talking about other religions, he is making sure to state that this does not represent the people of the book. This does not represent the Jews and the Christians that are honest and trustworthy, because they exist. In fact, we as Muslims, we are supposed to, to befriend those Jews and those Christians that are brothers to us, right? They are the people of the book. That's what we call them. But this incident, again, those who are trustworthy and honest, those who actually follow their book. But this incident affected me deeply. Perhaps this event might seem insignificant to many people, but I had seen my father punish my brother severely when he had once brought home the equivalent of 25 cents. 25 cents he had found on the streets and failed to provide him with a satisfactory explanation as to where he had brought it. Woo! He beat him with the belt. W. Dad. Biblical texts clearly forbid stealing and all the other evil acts. Oh, and the Bible, Exodus. On, oh, this is the thing I spoke about. Allah Almighty, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, describes the people of the book, Ahl al Kitab, the Jews and the Christians, who are honest and trustworthy as follows. This is how they're being described. And among the people of the scriptures, Jews and Christians, is he who, if you entrust him with a great amount of wealth, he will return it to you. Like you can just give him $1 million. He'll give you that $1 million the way it is. He will not take a single dollar of it. My experience in the United States of America. America! In 1977, I arrived in the United States to begin my university studies. First, I had to go to a school to learn English. And there, I met many people of different beliefs from various parts of the world. At an English language school in Seattle, Washington. Anyways, I had a roommate by the name of Fuad from Saudi Arabia who was doing his master's degree. One day he asked me if it was all right for him to pray in the room. Oh, that's so respectful. W Fuad. I told him that I did not have a problem with that at all. I was surprised since it was the first time I saw a Muslim perform his prayers. Before engaging in prayer, he performed ablution, which is we call wudu. Crazy. That's not a yawn. That was a He washed his hands, rinsed out. رمضان كريم رمضان كريم نقول لا خلينا نقول كنتم بخير. كل عام وانتم بخير. رمضان كريم بدعة ريترو. I'm starting to think it's a بدعة. يقول رمضان مبارك. علينا وعليك الشهر. What do I say? What do I say for the English speakers? Yare yare. Rinsed out his mouth, cleaned his nose, washed his face and forearms. This is just the wudu, the ablution. Wiped his head and ears and washed his feet in the small sink in our room. Just like my son, for real, for real. I don't know, to be honest. I'll say Ramadan Mubarak. I'll say Ramadan Mubarak too. Then people say I should look it up later. It was the first time I'd seen someone wash his feet in a sink. Right? See. This is a thing. This is a thing, right? This is the thing. I had my own problems with that when I was in the U.S. Like, sir, I wash my hands in there. My dude, I wash my feet more than you wash your hands. I wash my feet way more than I wash it. A very expensive paperweight. Have a good lurk. W Dawa, thank you. Then I observed the movements of his prayers. He stood up, bowed, resumed the standing position, prostrated. At that point, I remembered how we used to pray in this church by only kneeling down. But what Fuad did was different. A short while later, he left the institute, and for several months, I did not see another Muslim pray. Look, Islam attaches great importance to the issue of cleanness. My feet are very clean. I'll let you know. Anyways, during recess at the Miss Kauthar, recess. You guys know that cartoon, the Recess cartoon? I like it. You know that one guy who looks like his nose is. Anyways, his whole face is like curved. Um, the recess at the English Institute. Foreign students from various countries used to meet and discuss a variety of topics. I clearly remember that one that on one occasion, as we were discussing the origin of religion and prayers, I told them, you pray the way you do because that is the way your ancestors used to pray. I went on to tell them that their ancestors used to worship the sun, the moon, and the stars, and since then, that tradition has been transmitted through all these generations up to the present. I even had started to have doubts about the origin of belief in God. However, due to my deep Christian roots, I did not become an atheist. Ooh, they went through it all. ADHD Dawa, shut up, bro. Called entertaining Dawa. Don't start with me. Uh, wait. Hmm? Oh, this is all a footnote. This is still the footnote. That's crazy. All of this is just a footnote. There's a whole page that's a footnote. Interesting. I have to lurk. Take care, Ziltor. Um, one day I went to visit a mosque and I observed many people praying the same way that I had seen Fuad pray previously. After the prayer, they all remained seated on the floor to listen to a sermon, khutbah. Um, since the rest of the people were sitting, I joined them and listened. By the way, yes, you can. You Ziltor doesn't mind. You can DM Ziltor water. He just has to go to work right now, I think. But yes, you can. Trust me, I know the guy. I joined them and listened to all the that the imam, which is the leader of the prayer, basically, the man who I should let the guy speak. I don't know why I'm explaining. The man who leads the prayer. I keep doing this. The man who leads the prayer in the mosque had to say his name was Jamal Jamil Jamil. Jamil means pretty. مبروك عليكم مرطان تم تعبئة الكرشة بنجاح سبروكا. أنتم بخير. عبد الرزاق from Iraq, and he was talking about backbiting in English. I remember that his voice was high pitched and emotional as he spoke. He looked around the audience as if somebody has spoken ill of someone, but he did not point out anyone specifically. I think his objective was to instill a feeling of guilt in those involved in backbiting. Same day, basically, by backbiting is gossiping and like, talking behind people's back. Uh, Same day, and by the way, that is extremely prohibited in Islam. Extremely prohibited in Islam. I hope more and more people was the media demonizing Islam and seeing the truth. Inshallah, yes. Same day, someone sent me an envelope with some booklets comparing Islam and Christianity. It took me a long time to read them. قال آمين يا رب وياك بإذن الله. يا رب يكون أحلى الرمضانات. الله يتقبل مننا. What are you reading? كتاب اسمه My Great Love for Jesus Led Me to Islam. كتاب دعوة كما أظن يعني. And inshallah, hopefully it helps the Christians understand maybe a little bit about Islam. And honestly, I'm having a good time reading. It's refreshing my knowledge as well. As I was then busy starting as a freshman at Oklahoma. Never mind. We can't trust this guy. As a Texan, I would never read some book from an Oklahoman. What do you think I am? What would my ops say about this? Oklahoma State University. It was through the comparative booklets that I learned that Islam and the message of Jesus were both revelations from God. Jesus said that the message he was conveying was not his, but God's. For I have not spoken on my own authority, but the Father who sent me gave me a command what I should say and what I should speak. Which is exactly the same thing that Prophet Muhammad says. Likewise, the revelation Muhammad, to the rest of humanity was sent by God through angel Gabriel. 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 Truly, it is a revelation sent down by the Lord of all the worlds, the faithful spirit. Faithful spirit is just means Gabriel, Jibril, has brought it down upon your heart, O Muhammad, that you may be the warners to warn people. Therefore, the truth of every religion and the proof of its divine origin depends fundamentally on the accuracy with which the original revelation from God was perceived and transmitted to the rest of humankind. The level of deviation and uncertainty depends on the degree of precision with every word revealed to the prophet was transmitted to others. If these words have not been accurately transmitted and have instead suffered adulteration, it is highly likely that the essence of the original message would be lost forever, which is what we Muslims believe happened to the Torah and the Bible. Sadly, I would genuinely love to read the original, but how could we know? Um, Consequently, in order to make a just and an unbiased comparison between Christianity and Islam, it is necessary to determine the extent to which the original Gospels and the Quran have been kept free from adulterations, additions, or deletions. And because the objective is to convey, and because the objective is to convey, I just got a phone call. 1 second, very quickly. All right, back. Sorry, work call. Where were we? The objective is to convey the truth to the esteemed reader, and considering that at times a personal account of events does not appeal to some people, follows in this book is a brief comparison between. Right, I should do it like this. Because the objective is to convey the truth to the esteemed reader, and considering that at times personal account of events does not appeal to some people, follows in this book is a brief comparison between Christianity and Islam. The two most influential religions, Hira, the world with the highest number of followers from all races and nations, and the two most closely associated faiths. After that, I will go on to narrate events from my personal experience. I hope that by the will of God, this book will assist seekers of truth in their search for the true religion. The Gospels. The Gospels provide an account describing the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, which were written by a number of people based on what they had heard about him or on information which was available to them about him. That's interesting. I always thought the gospel were written in the time that he was alive. I guess they're not. Have fun, Rira. While there's no conclusive evidence, rumors have always circulated that the canonical Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which came to be accepted as part of the New Testament, were written between 70 CE and 125 CE. Hmm? And biblical scholars are not generally agreed regarding this. What? Before 140 AD, we read in the introduction to the New French Testament, Part 9, there was in any case no account by which one might have recognized a collection of evangelic writings. Scholars of textual criticism of the New Testament mention that the Gospels were written in the second century. What? That's way later than. Okay. Based on oral traditions, some document which were later lost, and they were attributed to many famous people who were not the actual writer of the Gospels. What? That's insane. In order to win people, in order to win people's approval, these were preceded by Paul's epistles and the Q document. The first written gospel was the Gospel of Mark, followed by the Gospel of Matthew, and then the Gospel of Luke, commonly known as the Synoptic Gospels, because they include many of the same stories, often in similar sequence and similar wording. Similar sequence, similar wording. What? Are they all written by the same person? It is obvious that the authors of Matthew, Luke had Mark's work open in front of them. No way. What? That's crazy. That actually gave me goosebumps. Really? Oh, further, when they wrote their versions, a fact easily established by comparing the text, Matthew incorporates about 90% of Mark, and Luke retains over 50%. Matthew and Luke have other material in common that does not appear in Mark. Also, they even copied from each other. German Bible critics have posited the existence of a Q document to which they must have had access. The M document, hypothetical textual source for the Gospel of Matthew, so its M document, is that special material of the Gospel of Matthew that is neither Q source nor Mark. Luke also took for his sources as a collection of material called the L. L for Luke, yeah. Source, John's Gospel. John's Gospel. So we already went through M, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. This is John, which is generally considered to be the last of the four canonical Gospels to be written, reflects a Christian tradition that is different from that of other Gospels. The Gospels were composed after the first followers of Jesus. After the first followers of Jesus had been divided into several sects, it can be confirmed that they were written in order to reflect the conceptions of their respective writers. This is a information overload. Give me a second. Ah. Okay. Although traditional sources were used for writing the Gospels, the writers, who only cared about their personal interests, did not exercise great care to keep the original content free from additions, deletions, and other forms of corruption. I'm lost. Basically, they're saying that the Gospels were poorly written. They were, instead of stating facts, they were taking from each other. They were all like sharing from this Mark Gospel. And rewriting things. They even did it in the same type of writing, apparently. And they didn't even care to keep the original content free from addition. Like, as in, like, they didn't try to receive the original, right? Make sure nobody's deleting anything or corrupt the files in any way, the Gospels. This fact was confirmed by numerous Christian authorities and even mentioned by the Quran over 14 centuries ago. What? Why? I don't know. They just didn't care. But yeah, even in Quran, it is mentioned that the the Bible has been corrupted and been changed. Therefore, the four Gospels, in addition to the epistles and the Old Testament, for that matter, were not divinely inspired. Rather, they were written by unknown people. That's what it's scary, right? That an unknown person wrote it. You don't know if that person is credible. You don't know if that person actually wrote the events of what happened. You don't know if they had an agenda on certain data and on uncertain dates. That's another thing that I see a lot on people who debunk and be like, "Oh, Christians explain this." They always go, "Okay, why is this date here different from this date?" Like that's the most like obvious thing that all of them should follow, and yet they have different dates. So how are you not certain on a date? Unknown locations, even though they were in large parts based on a real historical nucleus of divine revelation. This John is not John the Apostle, according to Encyclopedia Britannica. It was co-written by 500 scholars. Wrote it. As for the Gospel of John, it is undoubtedly fabricated. Okay. Yikes. That is crazy. Oh my god, yes, King. Yes, King. No, yet the King. Ah. It is worth mentioning that the four Gospels were not the only documents written in the centuries following the departure of Jesus. There were many others, which were recognized by some fathers of the church, such as the Gospels of Jacob. A lot. There are a lot more than Jacob, Peter, Thomas, Philip, Barnabas, in addition to the Gospels of the Hebrews, syncretic Jewish Christian gospel survives, survives only as brief quotation by the early church fathers. This was written in Aramaic, same language spoken by Jesus and was used by the Ezra. And by the way, Aramaic is the father language of Arabic. Uh, Arabic was inspired by um, deny his divinity, who denied his divinity, considered him no more than a great prophet. In the 4th century, Zarini, like, look this. I want to look. Jewish. In the 4th century, Gospels according to Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John, included in the body of the main text. The church declared they remain document critical. Die, heretic! However, additional changes need to be made in these Gospels, even though they have already been declared to be the Word of God. That's funny. Wait, how do you how do you just declare, yeah, this is the Word of God, this is correct, and then you change stuff? And did God tell you to change it? Um, as years pass by, the same Gospels appeared with mixed predecessors, 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 like precedes, like precede, predecessors, Massachusetts, which is undisputed evidence of the kind of corruption effect books. These books, simple comparison between Douay-Rheims Bible and King James Bible, 1611, for instance, would that's too academic. It means the ones that's before it, the the, the Gospels that. That's why it says predecessors. Would conclusively show the great changes that have taken place. Subsequent publications show yet numerous changes still following are some of the many factors to be considered when analyzing the veracity of the four canonized gospels, authenticity, the epistles that came along with them. One, the original gospel was revealed Jesus and is mentioned in the Quran as well as the contemporary gospels not exist today. Yes. So this is the this is what Muslims think and believe. Not think. Sorry, believe. What Muslims believe is that the original Bible, the original book that was revealed to Jesus, is real and it existed. However, it does not exist anymore. It was not perceived, preserved. It was not preserved and does not exist. Um, maybe some truth in here has made it to the Gospels. That's why we can't say, "Oh, all the new Gospels are lies," because we don't know. Some truth has made it, but what we do know it is that it is not the same. It has been changed. There has been additions. There has been deletions. That is something that was mentioned in our holy book, the Quran. So we agree and we believe in it that the Bible exists, but we can't say that the one that is right now currently exists. So we don't like believe everything that's in it. Just think that maybe there is truth to it somehow. We don't deny it or believe it. عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. رمضان كريم نوفا. Barak. The first records about sayings of Jesus, which were made shortly following his ascension to heaven, have been lost. Also, again, this is an Islamic thing that Jesus didn't die, he ascended to heaven. Sayings of Jesus, which were made shortly following again, so the sayings of Jesus are also lost. Gospels were written between 70 and 115 CE, or like word of church. That's funny. The word of church, yeah, and because they keep changing it, church changes it. Might as well be the word of church. Um, were based on lost based based. Oh my god, the Gospels were based the whole time. I'm so sorry. I didn't know you had game like that on lost documents. As a consequence, there was loose manipulation of the content. So based on lost documents, so there is manipulation. So these things do not exist, and even those things that were written are manipulated and changed. God said about Jesus, and we gave him the gospel in which guidance, light through the Son of God. This is in Mark and Matthew. Let's see what that's. Assuredly, I say to you, whatever this gospel is preached throughout the whole world, this woman did will also be spoken as a memorial to her, or whoever the original teachings. Jesus should read the Quran. It's true. Oh, there's more. Okay. None of the gospel authors saw Jesus or heard him speak. What? None of them, not a single one of them. Hence, there were not eyewitnesses. This would not hold in a court, by the way. Hi, meow. Assalamu alaikum. This would not hold in court at all. My God. Reading for an hour, killing my throat. All right. The Gospels were written in Greek language, while Jesus spoke Aramaic. Whoa, another problem. The prison Gospels and most of their cells were not chosen and validated until the 4th century, when a resolution by a minority of the Council of Nicaea was enforced in 305. For this date, the Gospels did not have any canonical authority and were changed by the writers of different sects in order to comply with their personal interests and desires. They were not companions. No, so they apparently never saw Jesus and spoke to him. So it's not like the companions of Prophet Muhammad actually lived with. I want this gospel to say this. This one to say that. Up to the present day, the practice of tampering with the text is still prevalent. That's true. Till this day, people do make up new churches and new Christianity is being created. Like for example, and I know this is a touchy subject, but homosexuality is a like not accepted in Christianity, and that is why the United States did not allow gay marriage, right? Uh, right. The thing is, what do you call it? I'm pretty sure more churches came out that say, "Oh, we are now we're God loves all. You can be gay and still be a Christian." So this is a change text, right? So now this is not the religion of God. This is the religion of whatever you guys want it to be. Um, and in for example, let's take Islam for example. I have a Muslim friend that obviously it gets very strong, like homosexual tendencies, right? And he understands that they are forbidden and understands that him trying to fight these desires to try to remain away from what God told him not to do is his challenge in life. Does he feel weak sometimes? Does he cry and complain? Yes, that is part of life. Life is a test in Islam, and you have to go through this test with a lot of uh, challenges. And there's something funny. You guys say it too, even though you're not Muslims. Like God tests his strongest soldiers or something. Is that what the idiom says? But in Arabic, there's a saying as well. It's like أحب الله عبدا ابتلاه. If God loves you, he will give you more um challenges. Um, but yeah, so consistency is important. That this is what is being shown here, that this thing lacks greatly lacks. The largest part of the New Testament is composed of the writing of Paul and his students. Paul, who never saw or heard, was initially one of the most prominent enemies of Jesus in history. Really, he killed many followers of them, yeah, and imprisoned them. Whoa, wait, so Paul never saw Jesus or heard him speak, and he's an enemy of Jesus, and yet people refer to his texts. Huh? That's crazy, by the way. He afterward forced them to confess to lies against Jesus. However, when Saul, later called Paul, supposedly converted, he tried to join the disciples, but they were all afraid of him, not believe that he was a disciple. But Barnabas took him and brought him to the apostles. This event occurred after Paul claimed that Jesus appeared to him and spoke to him on the way to Damascus. He bore witness himself without presenting any evidence establishing the truth of his claim. Surprisingly, he suddenly became the chief spokesman in the name of Jesus. Like, I don't know much about the Bible, but I always hear Paul, something, something, Paul, Paul, Paul. I hear that a lot. So I'm so surprised that he was like apparently like a hater. He was a hate watcher of Jesus, claiming that he was appointed by Jesus to preach the world. Paul also accused those who believed not that he, the disciple, bearing the truth, faith, being good to him, as carried away with their hypocrisy. Paul even gave himself the right to propagate teachings that were contradictory those taught by Jesus and went against the law which Jesus came to fulfill. Thus, we find, and when Paul wanted to go into the people, disciples would not allow him. All those in Asia have turned away from me. No one stood with me, but all forsook me. Those are the commands because we have the I don't know. Sinaiticus, Alexandrinus, Cornelius, all dating back to between 4th and 5th centuries. The extensive altercations with the gospel were subjected prior to these dates can hardly be determined, considering that the language of the gospels was Greek. Jesus spoke Aramaic. There were many discrepancies in several places. Century manuscript. Oh, oh, oh. Let's pause here. I need water. Let's pause here. Oh my god. Oh, that was a lot of reading. We got 20 pages in. I swear we could finish this book. We can finish this book this Ramadan, inshallah. Inshallah. Inshallah, we finish this book. The way I'm reading, this is good. Okay, listen. This is like a mix of like so many new things and things that I know. So I'm like excited. This is a good read, and like I usually don't know much about all the Christianity stuff, so this is nice. No. All right. Well, so what we're gonna do now is that we're gonna say goodbye to YouTube, and we're gonna start a new YouTube stream. So if you're on YouTube, uh, first of all, for the Muslims, قولوا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. This is كفارة المسلم كفارة كفارة المسجد. أنا قلت شيء عن موضوع عيسى ومريم. دحين حقرا دقيقة بس خليني أقفل بث اليوتيوب. So uh, this will be part of a series. We'll do 1 hour of this and another book every day, the next 30 days, inshallah. And right now, if you want to stay on stream, we'll be playing Oblivion. This was a lot to read. عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. خير من العيدين. So bye YouTube, and thank you guys for sticking around. I'll see you tomorrow, unless you hop off to the next. I'll open a new YouTube stream right now because we're gonna be playing some Oblivion. Bye, 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 YouTube, bye, YouTube.